The Neve 1073 is a legendary piece in the music industry, so much so that many have created emulations, companies like Universal Audio. How close is the UAD Neve plugin compared to the real thing? Before we get into the sound quality, let's talk about the pros and the cons of each and why you will actually probably want to get the hardware over the software. First, let's talk about the conveniency of having either or. Personally, I bought a case for my Neve 1073 from Sweetwater. It's like a carrying case that I can actually take to travel with. So if you're actually, thinking about getting hardware, you're traveling all the time. I like to travel. You can actually use this to take on an airplane if you're taking hardware. I like to carry it with me versus like with the plugin, you just put it on your laptop and you don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about space. Only thing you gotta worry about is storage. Also, if you're traveling, check out Analog Cases. They sent me this case here that goes with my Twin X. They got so many others, link in the description. So in the conveniency, the plugin actually wins. Now let's talk about the features. The plugin has some of the same features as the hardware, but because this is hardware, you actually get more features. Some of the things that are similar with both the hardware and the software plugin is that you have the EQ, you have the pad, you have the high bend pass, you have some volume knobs, and you have a phase button. But what you don't get on the actual plugin is that there are some more buttons on the hardware that, if you plug in this thing in the front or the back, you have to switch that on. You have a compressor. You can plug it into the preamp, use the EQ after the compressor if you decide to do that. And it's super simple. You have one volume knob. You don't have two volume knobs like the actual plugin. Versus with the hardware, it's only one volume knob. So it's super simple. And if you're having some electronical issues because you're using hardware, there's like a lift button to help with noise and stuff like that. It's a little bit more options on the hardware. So gotta give it to the hardware for this one. Let's talk about the price. With the Universal Audio Neve 1073 plugin, I think I spent over like $150, $200. I really don't remember. Versus with the hardware, I think I spent $1,700 on the Neve 1073. Right now, if you look on Sweetwater, it's actually going up on the price by $100. Let me know in the comments, would you spend $1,700 or $1,800 on an actual hardware preamp? So because the plugin version is so much more cheaper, I gotta give it to the plugin. Shout out to one of our sponsors, DistroKid. They have so many great options available if you want to upload your music to online streaming services like Apple Music. My favorite feature, Hyperfollow, where you can add all your favorite links just to one page so people aren't confused on where to click on. And now they have instant mastering services to give you cleaner music, and they have really great prices to get started. You can't beat it. I'd highly recommend it if you're uploading your music. Check it out, link in the description. Now back to the video. Now let's get into the meat and the potatoes. Let's talk about the sound quality. So I have the Neve 1073 on some drums, and I have the hardware as well on some drums. Down here, this is where the hardware is for the drums. This is where the Universal Audio plugin is. On this one, there's nothing on it. On each one of these drum tracks, I put them all in mono because the hardware, I only have one hardware, you know what I'm saying, one Neve 1073, so it gotta be in mono. So everything else is in mono for the drums. Let's hit the difference. So the plugin did kind of add some roundness to it. It did have some really nice highs. I did put a little bit of EQ on it. Did the exact same thing on the hardware. The hardware just seems to bring just a little bit more detail, and it almost sounds like some of the highs and the lows were just in their own little area. All right, so now I have the session here with the music added in. There is nothing on this track here, just a little trim knob just so I can bring the levels down. Second track right here has the Universal Audio plugin, the Neve 1073 on the drums and on the music. Since this is a stereo plugin, I can just add it on a stereo track. For the hardware, I had to bounce it in left and right. Like I said before, this is all the hardware, even the drums as well. So let's just hear the difference. Let me know what you think. Yeah, definitely a big difference in my opinion. You're paying a lot of money for, you know, that sound right there. This whole entire time on this video, you've been listening to the hardware version of the Neve 1073. I do have a compressor under the distressor compressor. I'm not using it for this video as I do in my other videos. So just so you can hear the raw, clean version of the actual preamp. And now, let's go ahead and switch over to the plugin with the exact same settings as the hardware. All right, gang, so now I'm using the software version of the Neve 1073 with the exact same setting as my hardware. Let me know, did you guys notice a huge difference or not? I have the exact same EQ that I'm using for my hardware. So let's go ahead and play with some of these highs, and then I'm going to switch over to the hardware and play with some of the highs as well. So maybe we can see if they sound similar. Here go the highs right now with the plugin version, and I'm going up, and I'm going down. Let me know in the comments, do you like the plugin version? Like, does this plugin sound good or not? So let's go ahead and put it back at where it was. And now let's switch over to the hardware. All right, so now I'm using the hardware. One thing that I can notice for sure that you're probably seeing right here as well as I'm recording this video, you know, this right here is the software version, and this right here is the hardware version. The volumes are not the same. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that's probably because they have so many volumes on here. They have way too many volumes. One down here and another one up here. And on the hardware, it's just one. I kind of pretended like this was the volume that I had on the hardware. So I kind of turned it up to the exact same point, but it's still way too low. You know what I'm saying? Let me turn this down so you know I'm not actually clipping. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really clipping my audio. But let's go ahead and turn up the highs on the actual hardware, and let me know if you guys think it sounds exactly the same or not. So I'm turning up the highs. Now I'm going to turn down the highs. Do it sound good? Does it sound bad? Let me know what you guys think. Now I got the highs right back at where I had it. Do you guys think this is the EQ sounds similar? Let's go with the middle one. So the hardware and the software are both set to 1600 hertz for the mid band. And so let's go ahead and just turn that up a little bit. 1, 2, 3. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and check out my album, link in the description. So this is me turning down the mids, and as you can see, you know, less mids in there, and let me know what you think. So now let's jump over to the software one more time and see how close does it sound. I might have to boost up the levels on the software just to get a clear picture of the audio. All right, gang, so now I have the software plugged into the microphone, the software Unison Neve 1073, and let's go ahead and boost up some of the mids just like I did on the hardware. Mic check 1 2, mic check 1 2. Now I'm turning it down. I don't know, man. Do you think it sounds exactly the same as the hardware? What I'm probably gonna have to do is turn up the volume on the software just to get a clear picture on how close the quality is. Now we're with the hardware. Mic check 1 2. How does it sound? Does it sound better? Let me know in the comments. I did boost the levels so you can match and see more of the details versus the loudness. How does it sound? Let me know in the comments what you think sounds better. You know, personally, I had some issues with the Neve 1073 hardware that was actually fixed because I bought it from Sweetwater and they helped me with any issues I had. They just replaced it versus with the plugin. I never really had issues because the software, if there are some software issues, they'll just do an update. The software version was a main leading factor on me buying the hardware. There are some things that I've heard with the hardware that I did not hear with the software. For number one of the things that I heard with the software is that the volumes are just so much lower. You know what I'm saying? Is you get so much more headroom and volume with the hardware, and it has more of like a 3D effect. It almost feels like, you know, you're in the room with the person and the person is actually there, versus like with the software, it sounds good, but it's just not as like 3D. It sounds more like 2D. You know what I'm saying? It sounds like a 2D vocal. You know, there are some big artists that uses the software version. You know, Post Malone, they use the software Neve 1073 and the software Tube Tech compressor, and they go with that and as their sound. You know, the software version has won Grammys or, you know, awards versus the hardware. The hardware won awards too. You know what I'm saying? Future uses the hardware version. You know, look at Wait For Me. Drake uses the hardware version as well. You know, that one ton of awards. So I can say the hardware probably won way more awards than the software. With that being said, I think the hardware is just worth it. It's just so much more detail that you can get out of the vocal. The software sounded great, especially when you don't have any hardware. 100% go get the software. Worth the money. As soon as you get the software version, you can start, you know, charging people for sessions and stuff like that, and they're gonna like it because the sounds so great. Versus like with the hardware, you know what I'm saying, you get some people in the studio, they're just gonna be like, why did I go anywhere else? You know what I'm saying? You have the hardware version, it sounds so much better. You can mix it with so many ways, and you can use both of these as, you know, a plug-in depending on how many inputs you have. And I'm gonna do a video on using the hardware Neve 1073 as a plug-in. Let me know in the comments, are you spending $1,800, $1,600, $17 on a, you know, hardware compressor, or $150 on the software? So make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys want to see any of my other videos, make sure you click these buttons right here. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere, link in the description. Listen to my album. I use the hardware version and the distressor compressor on all the songs, link in the description. You guys stay safe. Peace.